Hey everyone, Jake here with a quick update on our show, Finance in the Clouds. This is episode 25, and we're considering today's episode the season finale of season 1 of Finance in the Clouds. We're going to be taking a break from our podcast to focus on some new and exciting content for you all. We'll share more about that in the future, but for now, you can stay up to date on all newly released content and upcoming events by signing up for our email newsletter. Just go to zoneandco.com and you'll see a place to input your email in the footer. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome to Finance in the Clouds. Modern finance is broken, forcing finance and accounting teams to work like it's 1985, the year Excel was invented. Here, we talk about the struggles finance teams face in fast-growing companies and discuss how they can spend less time catching up and more time in the clouds. I'm your host, Jake Jones, multimedia producer and brand influencer here at Zone & Co., and I'm joined this week by two of my colleagues from Zone, Dennis van der Graaf, product manager, and Justyna Bielak, product owner. Back again. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Really happy to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you as well.
If this is your first time listening or watching, I encourage you to go back and listen to episodes 23 and 24. Over the last few episodes, we've learned all about OCR invoice scanning, some of the systems surrounding it, and supporting it. As we close out this topic, we're going to talk about how OCR invoice scanning can change your business. Justyna, Dennis, it's great to have you both back again to wrap up OCR invoice scanning. We've had a lot of great conversations, so we're really excited to wrap this up. But before we do, just wanted to give you guys both an opportunity in case maybe this is the first episode our listeners are hearing from who you guys are and what you do for us here at Zone.
Thank you. I'm Dennis van der Graaf. I'm working for almost 7 years for Fast4/Zone & Co. I started really at the bottom in the company, so I started as support rep and slowly did climb up through different functions where I am currently. So at this moment, I'm the product manager of the product management team. I'm basically guiding our product owners on a daily basis to make sure that our high volume apps are evolving and are becoming better and bigger products.
I work as a product owner for Zone & Co. and together with Dennis and our developers, we are focusing on Zone Capture Suite app. That includes scanning of vendor documents and also sending, receiving e-invoices. And on a daily basis, we make sure that the product is stable and we deliver new features to our customers.
Again, I'm glad to be wrapping up this topic with you guys, both such experts in this field. Let's talk about what this can do for your business. So what are the benefits of using OCR invoice scanning?
Definitely, OCR can improve your end-to-end flow and make sure that your data entry is well organized. Because as we mentioned a few times, your data is coming from multiple sources. If you organize it in a way that all documents are synchronizing with OCR tool, then you make sure that end-to-end flow is covered completely and you do not lose any information in your company. So therefore, OCR tool can be a way to help you in organizing documents and also to automate classifying and categorizing them. It's not only for invoices, but also for all kind of document types that OCR tool is able to recognize. With OCR tool, you're able to get all documents classified, categorized, and make easy to find, retrieve them, and at the same time, archive them in your system. Also, what we see, the efficiency is being increased because when you automate data entry, you make your process faster, more accurate. Less manual data entry means that your employees can focus on analyzing data, and then there's a higher chance that they will actually notice some errors or frauds coming potentially in this document.
Where you have the OCR and it is completely integrated inside your ERP system or any other kind of system that you're using, that in many cases you will also get the opportunity to have a split screen functionality so that you will see on, for example, the left hand side, the document that you're working with. On the right hand side, you see your ERP system, and therefore you have one general overview where all the data is on one screen. If you would compare that to how it used to be in the past, it could be somewhere in your email, it could be on your desk as a paper. So this is much more convenient that everything is in one place. You have the general overview, and therefore as a human can double confirm really quickly if the automation of the pre-population of the data is working as expected and there are no strange things happening in your system. When you have digitalized the data on your document, it is something that can be used to trigger other logic. So for example, you can use that data to compare it against the database that you have already. And the database can be your vendor databases inside your ERP system, or maybe it can be some kind of database where your POs are stored. It can basically be any kind of data source that you can confirm and double check if everything is exactly as you were expecting it. Therefore, with that additional check and the automation that you can achieve there, in many cases, you could end up with a situation that you're reducing your costs inside your company quite significantly, and therefore have more money available to do other things that are basically more important and can better drive your company.
Saving time, that's saving money. What a great tool. This puts all your data in one place. It's searchable. You can pull it up. You can easily retrieve it. So that's an amazing part of the tool. And the fraud, when this is automated and you're coming through and making a final check on something, you're going to catch any fraud that comes through. That's such an amazing part of the tool as well. I obviously have to ask the question, are there any cons to using this system? Anything that someone who's about to get into this and start using OCR invoice scanning, any cons?
So definitely you cannot assume that OCR will provide you perfect recognition results, because we need to take into account that every PDF looks differently. The quality of every PDF is different. So of course, in the happy path, when we have very clear PDF layout, if everything is perfectly labeled, all data are in line, then recognition results will be perfect. But we need to remember that not all vendor PDF layouts are that clean. Sometimes even for humans, it's hard to figure out where is actually the invoice number or where is actually the PO number on this invoice. So then we can imagine that for OCR tool, the same issue will happen. Also, what we see sometimes, the very poor quality of the scans. If the PDF is very blurry, also the same. If I have an issue with reading this PDF, then the same issue will happen for OCR tool. In case of poor quality documents, the recognition results won't be perfect. So this is something that you need to be aware. That doesn't mean that OCR tool is not useful. As long as the document is quite structured and with good quality, at least most of the data should be captured. So manual work will be for sure reduced. Maybe it won't be 0% of effort for your employees, but for sure it will be significantly reduced.
I love how you said, if it's hard for a human to figure out, it's obviously going to be hard for the programs to figure out. It's so important to get quality scans and quality documents to you. That's obviously going to affect a little bit of this. I've had you both on to talk about e-invoicing. Would that be almost a solution for this? Because e-invoicing is so standardized all the way through. Is that an answer to this issue?
I strongly believe that that will be on the long run. At this moment, e-invoicing is starting, just like we talked about in that episode. Some countries is already mandatory, some countries are starting, or there's only B2G at this moment. So it really depends on where you are located. I'm expecting at this point that in the future, OCR is going to be something that's nice to have, but e-invoicing will take over because there is control from the government. They have insights, so fraud is not possible anymore. So there are so many benefits on e-invoicing all long run that I think it will prevail when we are 10 years further. So I definitely believe that e-invoice will take control in the long run. For now, OCR is for many companies already a really big step forward, but there is a next step to come potentially.
Thank you, Dennis, for explaining that out. Amazing how all these systems just work together. Justyna, I know something else that we've talked about as far as OCR invoice scanning is the training and the auto learning. Is that something else that is an answer to some of these cons as well?
Yeah, definitely. The assumption is that the longer you use the system, that the better recognition results will be, because these layouts coming from your vendors are, of course, repetitive. So the OCR tool with learning capabilities is able to improve, and then based on documents that you provide to the tool, the OCR system will be able to improve because we know more or less what to expect.
How does using OCR invoice scanning change a business in your experience?
The fact that your employees can focus not only on data entry, but also on other parts within your company or within the finance department can be really beneficial. They can execute the work that they really should be executing, because I think we can all be honest that entering data inside the system is important, but it is not the best spent time, to be honest. There are better things that you can do inside your company. That are the main things that we see changing quite a lot. Also, the business analyst within the company is really going to benefit from the additional data that is available there. They can see really quickly if something is changing. There is data that's not correct, for example. But also, what could be really interesting, for example, the CFO, is that with the fact that you're using OCR, the data is already there. Normally, the PDF would be somewhere in your email box, or it would be on your desk, or still in the envelope in the mailbox. So with the fact that you're using OCR, the data is already there. And maybe it is at that point still raw data, so it is not refined at that point. But it can already, for example, provide you insight. How much do I still need to pay that is in the pipeline, but not yet added into my system? But the OCR did already read it, so you can take into consideration what's going to happen in 14 days inside the company. That is also really valuable information.
The OCR is the first step. Once you have this data, you decide what you're going to do with this data. There are a lot of ways to do that already. On the first step, when document is being scanned, a lot of checks can be done. For example, vendor master data, double check if data coming from the PDF is the same as in your ERP system. Potential control duplicates can be already done, so you do not waste time checking if it's actually a vendor sending me the same document for the second time, because maybe they are sending reminders every month. But already during scanning, this kind of checks can be done. So for sure, a lot of time from the people who used to manually entering data can be used in a more efficient way, so they can actually start checking already red flags raised by OCR tool.
I love how it all kind of comes together of when you free up time, your finance team can focus on other revenue generating focuses and objectives. What advice would you give a company who's ready to take the step into this? What are some things they need to think about as they're approaching this?
First, really sit down and think about what you actually would like to achieve. There are many flavors of OCR providers on the market, many companies that are providing some kind of integration, but really start with questioning yourself. What is exactly what I would like to capture, and what would I like to automate, and what kind of data would I like to utilize inside the system? Only if you have answered those questions, you are capable of searching a partner that potentially could fit your needs. If you just search in the wild, you see the most awesome things that you could potentially get, but doesn't really benefit your company. That's the question.
Also important question to ask yourself, do you look for the tool that will be fully integrated and inside your ERP system, or maybe that can be external OCR tool? So that would require a separate login to the separate tool. So that's also something to be considered. There are, of course, pros and cons of both solutions. If you have external tool, then you need to take into account that you need to synchronize your data from your ERP system to these external tools. There might be some delay because the synchronization is usually not real time. But at the same time, your employees would need to learn a new system. They would need to log into the external system. Probably use both systems because not all data will be in the external system. So most likely you would need to do cross-check between your ERP system and external OCR tool. Also worth mentioning security. How your company would like to manage security of your data, because if you synchronize data from your ERP system to OCR tool, you need to make sure that OCR provider is fully responsible for your data, and data is stored, secured, and all documents, of course, as well.
Are there any final thoughts here as we kind of wrap up today's episode talking about OCR invoice scanning?
First thing I think that is important is money. Everything will cost money. Also, an OCR system and implementation will cost you money at the end, but will also save you money. What I see happening often is that users or people that are searching for an OCR are really focused on the exact cost of how much is one document scan or page scan. But what I think is more important is to look at the bigger picture. what is it going to save you on the long run? What are they offering? What kind of features do they offer? What kind of recognition do I get? What kind of integration is there? And at the end, potentially the additional features that you will get are the benefits that are really going to save you the money.
What we see happening quite often, that customers postponing go live of OCR tool because they want to make it perfect. They want to have perfect recognition results. That's not the point. I still think that it's more beneficial to start actually using it, get familiar with it, see where are the disadvantages of the tool and how we can improve it. Because until you actually start using it, we will not know that.
Justyna, Dennis, thank you both again for being back on the show and sharing your expertise all about OCR invoice scanning.
Thank you, Jake. We're really happy to be here again in this final episode. I really hope that this is going to clarify a lot of information to our users.
Thank you, and I hope that we answered and clarified for our end users the most important points, and now it's clear how OCR tool is working and how you can utilize it inside your company.
We want to hear from you. How could you use OCR invoice scanning? Let us know by emailing hello@zonenco.com. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we'll be taking a break from Finance in the Clouds to focus on some exciting content that we're working on for you all. You can stay up to date on all newly released content and upcoming events by signing up for our email newsletter. Just go to zonenco.com and you'll see a place to input your email in the footer. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube.